What if your anxiety wasn't just emotional? What if the food that you're eating, specifically sugar, was fueling the very symptoms you're trying to escape? We don't usually connect sugar to mental health, but more and more research shows that sugar can trigger, amplify, and prolong anxiety and depression in ways we've underestimated for decades. When you eat sugar, it spikes your blood glucose. But here's what most people don't know. Every spike is followed by a crash, and every crash triggers a stress response in your body. You release cortisol and adrenaline, your body's built-in alarm system. And that physical sensation of panic, the racing heart, the shallow breath, the shakiness, it's often the result of blood sugar volatility, not just psychological stress. This cycle repeats all day long. You grab something sweet to feel better, maybe even something labeled healthy, a granola bar, a smoothie, flavored yogurt, but that healthy sugar still spikes your blood glucose and sends you right back on the roller coaster. And it's not just mood swings. Sugar causes inflammation throughout the body, including in the brain. Neuroinflammation affects how your brain cells communicate, process emotions, and regulate neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Low serotonin is associated with depression. Dopamine dysfunction is tied to a lack of motivation, low energy, even emotional numbness, and sugar disrupts both. A high sugar diet has been linked to a 23% increased risk of developing depression, especially in people consuming more than 67 grams per day. And that's not hard to hit. A soda and a sweetened coffee drink alone can push you past that in one morning. But it gets deeper. Over 90% of serotonin is produced in your gut, not your brain. And sugar damages the gut lining. It feeds harmful bacteria and suppresses beneficial ones. The result is a disrupted gut microbiome that sends out inflammatory signals, and that inflammation directly affects your mood. This is why many people feel calmer, clearer, and more stable within just days of removing sugar. When blood sugar stabilizes, the body stops panicking. When inflammation drops, the brain can function normally again. And when gut health begins to return, so does emotional resilience. It's not an overnight fix, however, but even a 14-day sugar reset can lead to profound shifts in your mental state. You may notice fewer cravings, better sleep, and most importantly, less anxiety. This doesn't mean sugar is the only factor in mental health, but for many people, it's one of the most overlooked ones. And once they take it out, the difference is so dramatic they can't imagine going back. So if you've been struggling with anxiety, a low mood, or emotional instability, start with your plate, because what you're feeding your body is also feeding your brain.